It's 6 p.m. in our studio clock, same time in Limba in the southwest region of the country. Good evening, dear viewers of Equinoxe Television. This is a 6 p.m. edition of the primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. First, our major stories. Blood continues to spill on our national highways. 4 persons have died and 2 persons are currently battling for their life following a road accident that occurred on the National Road number 5. The accident occurred over the weekend in a locality known as Jungu in the Mongo Division Littoral region of Cameroon, and it was caused by wrong overtaking by truck. Away from that, we'll tell you how medical negligence, and there has been an increasing outcry over negligence on the part of some medical practitioners in the country, which led to the death of some patients, leaving others paralyzed. And this edition of the news will be exposing some of such cases and also efforts that are currently being made to combat the frequency of medical negligence in our hospitals across the country. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. We'll begin with this sad story. 2 people are currently battling for their lives in a hospital in Banga after they were involved in a fatal road accident on the National Road number 5 that led to the death of 4 persons. A heavy-duty truck collided with an inter-urban transport vehicle. Mala Glory is the lady on that story.
An inter-urban transport vehicle completely beyond repair. The vehicle was involved in a fatal road accident. It went into a head-on collision with a heavy-duty truck on the National Road number 5, precisely at the place called Njomgo in Banga, Mongo Division of the Littoral region. 4 of the passengers on board the vehicle died on the spot, while 2 others in a critical situation were immediately transported to the hospital for medical attention.
Dans ce produit aux environs de 16 heures, mon collègue que vous voyez là sortait de Banga.
That was about 4 p.m. My colleague left Mbanga and was heading to Loom. While here, as you can see behind me, the truck collided with the other vehicle. The shock was so serious that my colleague and 3 others died on the spot.
Il a perdu la vie.
Witnesses blame the accident that occurred last Saturday on the poor state of the road, reckless driving, overspeeding and irregular overtaking.
Ce camion doublait votre camion Jungo que vous êtes en train d'observer.
The truck was trying to overtake. When they got to the junction, the driver to the other vehicle found himself in between 2 other trucks. That got him confused and tired. The National Road number 5 is the stretch that connects the littoral to the west region. Several deaths have been recorded recently on this road due to the degrading nature of the stretch, a great concern to the authorities.
Mala Glory reporting there. Security forces are currently investigating 22 youths who were apprehended for consuming hard drugs in Hausa Quarter, a neighborhood in Kumba subdivision. The operation, which led to the arrest of the young people, was headed by Edwin Kenangwana, divisional officer for Kumba subdivision. Amongst the 22 who were arrested, 5 were women, 1 heavily pregnant. Smajikan Gabriel reports.
There were 22 in number who were picked up during a surprise raid led by the divisional officer of Kumba subdivision, Edwin Kenangwana, in the Hausa Quarters neighborhood. Amongst the 22, 5 were women with 1 heavily pregnant lady. She tells us how it feels consuming the hard drugs.
Which one do you take from the boot?
Take all.
You take all? How does he do in your body?
It's just like self pleasure. Self pleasure, like someone who loves to drink or someone who loves to go to club. It's self pleasure. It's the same thing.
The arrest of these young people came as a good news for the inhabitants of Hausa Quarters in Kumba.
It has been really a nuisance. Our children are losing their way. and we expect our grandchildren to follow suit. So we have to do everything in our power to stop it. So we are thankful for the authorities for that. But we need to do more. This is just the beginning. We really need to do more. Our mothers and our daughters are crying every.
The operation saw the divisional officer of Kumba 2 subdivision doing a search in all of the hideouts where the hard drugs were being consumed and hidden. It wasn't the first time for such a move, but the first time for this number to be captured.
We have been carrying out this move regularly. We have taken time to talk, to sensitize, to preach to them, to educate them. We are discovering that this idea of youth drugging themselves is taking an alarming rate within our community, which we cannot accept any longer. Those who think that they will continue with this activity, they should leave Kumba 2, because Kumba 2 will be too hot for them.
All 22 were later gathered and taken to the Kumba 2 district police station for onward investigations.
And now to one of our major lead stories. Medical negligence continues to be a major issue plaguing our health system. In the upcoming report, our reporter Cedric Chakutio narrates some incidents that sent some patients to their early graves, with others being disabled. His report.
Madame Sokmak is found in tears. She is mourning the death of her daughter, Rose Leon Sokmak, who died after suffering from a toothache. She was suffering from toothache. We went to the hospital so as to remove the tooth. She went back to school, then one of a sudden, her jaw was swelling, so we went to a doctor who treated it so that she could go back to school. She then came back because she was not feeling fine, complaining of her toothache again. So we went back to the doctor's office once more. On her arrival back to school, Rose will feel pains and will go back to the hospital for treatment. But unfortunately, the doctor who started the treatment is nowhere to be found. He told us that immediately we shall start with the treatment. But when we were to start, the doctor ran and was nowhere to be found. Unfortunately, after they fought for her to get the best treatment, Rose had already left the world of the living. My small brother, who was with my wife and child, stayed there and told the nurses that before injecting his niece, he must see the doctor who started the treatment for him to explain what is going on. The nurses refused and chased my brother out and injected my daughter a liquid she was not to take. 10 minutes later, she died on the spot. Her death left a vacuum in the heart of our only sister.
It's not been easy pretending like you're fine just to be the strong face among the family members, yes. Meanwhile, inside it's eating you up, and if she was here, I would have told her everything. I even used to talk with her at times. I'm just going to sit and act like she's actually listening to what I'm saying.
After the sudden demise of their daughter, the Sokmak family decides to put in place a center to plead for the causes of medical negligence victims. After reflections, we put in place a center that will help the victims of medical negligence. This center is in honor of Rose and is even carrying her name. Medical negligence has been recurrent in Cameroon. We still remember the case of the baby who died in Kribi and is today a shadow of herself.
And now we talk religion. We now take you to a zikr in the Center region where Muslim faithful prayed not only for peace but also for solutions to the increasing cost of living, hardship and rising youth unemployment. The leaders and faithful asked Allah to help the government to take the right decisions and actions that will remedy the situation. Babila Jonathan tells us more.
Imam Muhammad Salisu Ibrahim of the Zeka Central Mosque prays for peace in the crisis-stricken northwest and southwest regions and Cameroon at large.
Nous prions aujourd'hui également que la paix règne dans le Cameroun ainsi que dans le Nous, que ces populations-là trouvent un bon terrain d'entente entre le gouvernement et que la paix règne dans le Cameroun.
Acknowledging in his Tabaski message that all things come from God, he prays Allah to help the government in solving the problem of youth unemployment.
Les jeunes qui sont toujours dans la recherche des emplois, que le Seigneur les favorise et que nous prions pour qu'un Cameroun soit prospère.
Ça peut nous aider dans la vie chère qu'on est en train de vivre maintenant et ça peut aussi permettre à l'État d'essayer de voir comment vraiment nous pouvions s'en sortir dans cette situation.
The Muslim faithful in Ezeka are urged to be obedient to God like Abraham, who obeyed God when he was asked to sacrifice his only son, and God, seeing his obedience, replaced his son with a lamb. From the central mosque, the feast continued in the streets, quarters and homes in this part of the Nyong and Kele division in the central region of Cameroon.
And now, while in the Far North region, the presiding imam at the Mutuwa prayer ground urged the Muslim faithful to desist from land disputes, tribalism, and other issues that may affect their unity. Imam al-Adha was speaking during the feast of al-Adha. Ase Lucilengu reports.
In the Mayokani division of the Far North region, precisely in Muturwa, Muslim faithful gathered to commemorate the feast of Tabaski, also known as al-Adha. The presiding Imam al-Adha at the prayer ground encouraged the faithful to fear Allah because the fear of Allah will save them from divine torment. Celebrating Ibrahim's submission to God by sacrificing his son, the Muslim faithful pray to Allah to restore peace in areas which have been hit by conflicts.
Nous prions aussi le grand Dieu que cette année, que la paix règne entre les musulmans et les chrétiens.
The Lamido of Muturwa seized the opportunity of the Feast of Sacrifice to warn cattle rearers to stop leaving their cattle to wander around.
Surveiller leurs bêtes, à éviter la divagation des animaux.
The presiding Imam, al-Adha, did not leave no stone unturned. He called on the Muslim faithful to fight against tribalism, nepotism, and land disputes which could affect their peace and unity. At the end of the prayer session, the Muslim faithful sacrificed a sheep, a symbol of Ibrahim's sacrifice to Allah.
And a similar story, above the value of sacrifice, Tabaski is also a time for sharing. Muslims in Douala say this value of sharing without discrimination should be adopted by Cameroonians and their leaders in order to help resolve the many social crises faced by the country. They believe that this symbolic act, which cuts across the social barriers and division, will help to fight against nepotism and favoritism. Femi Armstrong Sanda reports.
Beyond the traditional symbolic acts of sacrifices performed by Ibrahim, Tabaski is also a time for sharing and generosity. As a principle in Muslim families, the meat of the sacrificed animal is divided into three parts: one for the family, one for friends and neighbors, and one for the needy.
Et chaque année, l'islam, le musulman, renouvelle ce partage.
A principle and acts of sharing without discrimination, cutting across race, age, social status, religion and others, as explained by His Majesty Yunus Paraiso, Muslim community leader in Makepe Misokende Douala 5 subdivision.
We were all the community, not distinguish the religion of the tribute. Everybody, the door is open until the last meter is finished in the pot.
Highlighting the importance of this equal sharing for Cameroon, the Muslim leader blames nepotism for the crisis and challenges faced by the country.
aussi pour dire aux dirigeants, soyez équitables. C'est tout ce qu'on demande aux dirigeants, c'est d'être juste, d'être équitable.
The Feast of Tabaski at the Chefferie Makepe Misoke was also an opportunity for the kids to extend good wishes to their family members and friends while praying for the nation Cameroon.
I say Bakada Salah to all my parents, all my teacher, all my friends, all my uncle, my father and my mother. Goodbye. Je Bakada Salah au monde entier, à tous les koufars, aux autres. Que là vous accorde le paradis. Amen.
The community leader also used the Tabaski opportunity to remind Cameroonians in general and the Muslims in his area of command in particular that 2025 is an important electoral year, hence incumbent on them to get themselves registered on the electoral list.
And that's it for the first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Tonight on Talking Point, I'll be receiving Sheikh Umaru Mwafon. He is a Muslim scholar. I'll be discussing about the significance of the Feast of Tabaski. Good evening, Sheikh. It is a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa sallim. Wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. Good evening to all the televiewers who are seeing me right now. Good evening of all those who are working here in Equinoxe television. I'm very happy for you to permitted me to be with you this evening.
Sheikh Umaru, yesterday, Muslim faithful in Cameroon and across the world commemorated the Feast of Tabaski. Could you explain to us the story behind this feast?
This Feast of Tabaski is something who have been started by Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him. So at that time, he has a holy child who was called Ismail. So he saw by the dream slaughtering the child. So the Almighty ordered him to slaughter the only one child he has. So he put into implementation the dream. So why ready for the slaughtering? The Almighty, Allah the Almighty, saved the child by the marvelous sacrifice, who was a ram. So today we are perpetuating the tradition of Abraham. And so every year at this time we have to slaughter a ram.
Now, we noticed that in almost every Muslim home yesterday, either a ram or a cow was slaughtered. What's the significance of the slaughtering exercise and how is the sacrifice done?
Yes, first and foremost, we slaughter the ram because the child have been saved by a ram. And then in the Muslim tradition, Prophet Muhammad said that people can gather 7 people for 1 cow, 7 people for 1 camel. So people can either slaughter a cow, a camel, but the best is a ram.
What about a Muslim faithful who is unable to afford a ram? Can he or she be part of that spiritual exercise?
Yes. A faithful who did not have means to offer himself a sacrifice can be a part, because Prophet Muhammad said after slaughtering, the meat is to be shared into three. One part of the household, one part to give to the people for sadaqah for home, another part to cook and receive those who are going to come for invitation. So that day, those who did not have will share the one of those who have. Is living together, is sharing, the spirit of a sharing.
And now, is there a particular way of celebrating this feast?
Yes, it is not any special particular way of celebrating. We celebrate it as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered us to do, and how he himself did. So that day, we will go to the prayer ground. We will perform 2 rakah of prayer and keep there waiting for the sermon of the Imam. So the celebration is 2 parts. The first part is a prayer, 2 rakat, and the second one is the sermon of the Imam. You have to listen to it. If you abandon the prayer ground without listening to it, it means that we haven't accomplished the feast very well. And after that, the Imam would first slaughter a ram, and all the faithful Muslims would follow at their different houses.
From analysis, it is quite clear that being at the prayer ground is obligatory on such a day. What was the focus of the message of the Imam this year?
Yes, the main message we received from the Imam was the message of sacrifice. The significance of the sacrifice, because it gave us a very good another significance of the sacrifice. And he said the sacrifice is an abandon, is to forsake something for another one, to forsake the wrong way for the right way, to forsake the badness for the goodness, to forsake anything that we are doing is going against the life of a human being for the good one, is to forsake the terrorism for the saving of a human life, is to forsake the separation for the living together and for togetherness.
And now, is there a difference between the feast of the Ram and the feast of Ramadan?
Yes, apparently there is a difference. They are in the Muslim religion. There are 3 feasts. First, the weekly feast, which is that we perform in the mosque during the Jummah, the Friday prayer. Secondly, is the feast of Ramadan that we perform after the fasting of 29 or 30 days. And thirdly is the great feast, who is the feast of a sacrifice, that we do it on the 10th of the Zul-Hijjah, the last moon of a Muslim calendar. So the difference is that during the feast of sacrifice, we sacrifice a ram or something else, as I said before. And this feast is going for 3 days, the days that we call Yom HaTashriq. And during these 3 days is the days of enjoyment, It's a day of living together, sharing. It's the day of being together with the family and enjoy everything we are supposed to be enjoyed. Why? The feast of Ramadan is only one day and is celebrated at the feast of Shawwal. Shawwal is the 10th moon in the Muslim calendar. So the two feasts are very, very quite different.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Umaru, for accepting my invitation.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I thank all the televiewers who are seeing me right now.
Sheikh Umaru Mwafon, Muslim scholar based right here in the city of Douala. And that's where we'll put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs. Coming up next is Equinoxe Soir, back at the Salah to all Muslim faithfuls watching us in Cameroon and also out of Cameroon. Bye-bye for now.